to Friends and Neighbors. I'm Sherry Tatum, one of your co-hosts, along with Sandra O'Neill. Sandra's going to be singing for us a little bit later, but we are always so glad when you decide to be here with us on Friends and Neighbors, because we do try to bring the greatest guests that we can possibly find that would give you good, godly information. But if you've never heard the Lord's Prayer sung, you're going to hear Sandra sing it, and absolutely you will love it, and it will help you immensely. So, Sandra, take it away.
Into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory
Well, once again, you knocked it out of the park with that song.
It's one of my favorites. I tell you, the Lord's Prayer.
Ooh, I know it. Hey,
I need it more today
than ever. Yes. Than ever. And I have to say that every so often to myself going down the road, when I hear from all the grandkids, what if I say the Lord's Prayer?
Yes.
Please help me. But
yes.
You know what is helping?
Yes.
We have got two gentlemen here that I'm so proud of to have here. And it's Mark and Stuart, and they're with Trail Life. Now, a lot of you are not going to know what Trail Life is. You know what Boy Scouts was,
yes.
what they were. But now Trail Life has kind of taken over
yes.
that, but better, I think, so much better. So, Mr. Mark and Mr. Stewart.
Welcome.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Glad you're here.
It's a pleasure.
And I want to hear why you did this. How did you come up with Trail Life?
Well, I'll tell you, it was about 300 volunteers across the country. It was a grassroots movement. In 2013, as you referenced the Boy Scouts, it seemed to be that they were headed in a direction that we knew that a lot of churches and a lot of Christians weren't going to be able to join them in.
Right.
And so a lot of former Scouters and Christian ministries and Christian media, we gathered in Louisville, Kentucky. 50 of us gathered one weekend, and we pounded out the ideas for an organization, Christian alternative to the Boy Scouts. We launched about 6 months later with 10,000 members on our first day. That was in 2014.
That's incredible.
Now we've grown to 30,000 members in all 50 states. We're in over 800 churches. And it's a Christ-centered,
Wow.
boy-focused, adventure character leadership organization. We are Christ-centered. We're preserving the qualities that make boys into godly men through an exciting adventure program.
Well, okay, did you come up with the idea, Mark? You yourself?
No, I didn't. I just happened to be there. There was, like I said, there were hundreds of volunteers across the country, and I was invited to this meeting in Louisville, and I don't know what qualified me to be there, but I ended up being a part of this movement and helping channel all that energy from the volunteers and all the knowledge of the executive scouters. I was never involved in scouting growing up, but I was able to be a part of channeling all that and building it into an organization.
So is that your part today? And what about Stuart? Stuart, is that what you do, or what is your role?
So I'm on the board of directors of the organization, and when you talk about where it came from, it came from God. Trail Life USA is a God thing.
Yes.
And it happened at just the right time in history, I think. There were certain things happening in the culture, there were certain shifts of opinion and things that were occurring that I think created the perfect conditions for Trail Life. And so when we talk about the mission of needing to build for our country godly and responsible husbands, fathers, and citizens, that's what we're in the business of doing. That's big kingdom work.
Yes.
And so for such a time as this, Trail Life USA came along, and I think it's just been an amazing ride to watch what God's doing.
I love how God qualifies us. He qualifies us, and I love, His fingerprint is in everything. And if we keep our eyes open and our ears open, we can see His hand directing us. And you spoke clearly about this time, how important it is to raise godly sons,
Boy, is that the
brothers,
truth.
husbands, because the enemy is there to seek and destroy and just tear the family apart. I have an almost 8-year-old daughter now, and I pray for her every day and for her future husband. And an organization like Trail Life that can first of all wrap their arms around families that are trying to do this as well. Tell me, if I had a 8-year-old son, what would his adventure be like at Trail Life?
And do they earn badges?
Yes, so your 8-year-old son, if he were involved in a troop, he would be probably at the level where he's building a calendar with other boys his age, and they're deciding what adventures they want to go on. And what's so exciting about that is it's not just that they're going to go kayaking or shooting or learning about these different things, but that they're doing it all in a Christ-centered atmosphere. So they're not just going to camp outside, they're going out into God's classroom to learn about Him and learn about His creation. And what does He have to teach us today out there?
Yes.
So we say that Christ is the carrot in the carrot cake of the program. You have a carrot cake, you don't have a big old chunk of carrot in it. It's in every bite, and that's really how the program executes.
Yeah.
So a boy going on adventures and being mentored by adult biblical men that are pouring into them. And again, you talk about the timing of something like Trail Life, and it's just really profound. When you go to the scripture, we go to Samuel, and it says that Eli perceived that the Lord was calling the boy.
Yes.
And I feel like there's leaders all across the country in our troops that they're being a part of that. They're watching God call a young man to be something great, to do something for the kingdom, and to be a part of that, and be able to mentor those boys and prepare them to confidently and courageously face their culture, and to stand alone if necessary.
That's right, daily applications, right? Because you could live it out in those type of environments when you can have problem-solving skills or conflicts. What's God's point of view in this, and how would we apply it in a godly way? I think that's extraordinary.
You talk about God being involved in the program. That's the part that we get to kind of uncover as we go, as the things that He's almost hidden in this vision that He had that we get to carry out. But the way that we minister to boys that don't have dads, there's so many single moms out there who've cried out to God, who said, I need a man to help raise my son. And so she gets to bring her son to Trail Life USA, and with a group of men who are Christ-centered men. They've signed the statement of faith, our statement of values. They agree with the values that we have in the organization. They've been child and safety youth protection trained. They've had their background checked. They've been trained within the organization. They're a company of men. They're a brotherhood of men who are convicted and are passionate about raising the next generation of godly young men. And you're a single mom, and you're placing your son in that program to be surrounded by that men. We were in Virginia, and we had a campfire after a meeting, and a lady came up to me. She said, I need to thank you. And I said, thank me? She said, yeah. She said, my husband died 10 years ago and left me with a 2-year-old son.
Wow.
She said, he's 12 years old now, and he's a navigator in Trail Life USA, and he's surrounded by godly men.
Awesome.
And my husband will want me to thank you. She says, I cried out to God that my son would be surrounded by godly men because I knew that's what my husband would want.
And God answers
Isn't that
prayers.
powerful?
and
Isn't that
yes,
powerful?
that-
And who knows how many
Yeah.
times that story is repeated over and over again. And then the other secret that's hidden in the program is how men are finding a brotherhood in trail life. You know, they come and they think that it's about the boys, and it is.
Yes.
It's boy focused because there's too few things that really focus and care about boys in our culture today. So it is unapologetically Christian and boy focused, but men are finding a brotherhood there in the outdoors because they share the passion for the next generation. And when you're spending time with guys who are Christians and believers who care about the next generation, there's a bond there that goes beyond anything you're going to find anywhere else.
Yeah.
And so these men, we had a man come back from 4 tours of duty. And he came back, he said, overseas, Afghanistan, and terrible, the things that he saw overseas.
Yes.
And the guys begged him to join their troop and get involved. And he just didn't want to because he thought he would never have the type of brotherhood that he discovered in the service,
Yeah.
encountering those things. And now, just with tears in his eyes, he says, I never thought I'd find my brothers again. He doesn't even have a son in the program, but he's serving in the troop and serving these boys and serving alongside these other men, and it has given him a brotherhood and a
Wow.
ministry
Yes.
to participate. So God is confirming him that he's got something for him to do in the kingdom.
Yes.
He served our country, now he's serving the kingdom.
Kingdom of
And he's
God.
found a brotherhood. Those are the secrets that are hidden
Well,
that we get to uncover.
you talked about accountability, about holding I guess I would think you would hold them accountable at all times, not just when they sign up. And you talk about they have to say they're Christians, they're this, they'll be this way. So I don't mean to be the devil's advocate, I'm not trying to do that, but you know how discrimination is thrown into everything. Do you think somebody might come sometimes say, hey, you're discriminating against me. I can teach these boys, but I don't hold what you believe. How would you handle that?
So the way that we handle that is it's very important that we're in outreach. And our outreach is to the boys, and it's to the lost in a very real sense. We have no requirement for boys to have a profession of Christian faith. But if we're going to have a Christ-centered program, and that's our first core principle of our course principles, that we are
Yes.
Christ-centered, we can't compromise on that principle. And so we make sure that we have the adult leadership structure in place that is uncompromisingly holding to our statement of faith and values, which of course are the Scripture. And that's a non-negotiable in our program. It's so important that we have that because parents are looking for moral consistency in a time when there's no moral clarity for our boys.
Right.
And so we're trying to give that consistency and also the encouragement to families that we're not going to change tomorrow. We're a Christ-centered program today, and we're going to be a Christ-centered program tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day and the day after that. We're not changing that aspect of it because that's
good.
very much who we are. That is our prime identity. This is God's organization, and we are Christ-centered.
Yeah, because you know, some of these organizations have had to change.
Right.
Because somebody came and said, I'm
Had a
like,
complaint.
you know.
Well, we're forged in the fires of this cultural battle.
Yeah.
And we had the advantage of seeing what Boy Scouts, the mistakes that they made over 100 years and how they lost their way.
Yeah.
And so we set ourselves up, we structure ourselves legally and in so many ways so that we can be an organization. We're an unapologetically Christian organization. If you're joining an organization, you're saying at the door, I'm checking any other beliefs. I wouldn't belong here any other way unless I was in support of this
Right.
mission.
Right,
So we
yeah.
make that promise to the parents that we're maintaining that. And another thing that we did, I think, was really wise on the part of our board of directors, is our organization structures that our board of directors are elected and confirmed from the troops. So, and our membership standards can't be changed unless 80% of our troops, representatives from 80% of our troops, decide to change those standards. And those standards state things like the Christ-likeness, the statement of faith, the statement of values, what we believe about marriage, how we define men and women. Those sorts of things are hardwired into our organization, and it would take 80% of our organization, not a board of directors, not a CEO, not a home office staff, but it would take the troops to decide that they wanted to change that. Well, they joined us because they don't want to change that. So we're pretty sure that we've structured ourselves up legally in so many other ways to be an organization that continues to honor God into the future, and then have ourselves really be insulated from any of the types of things that you're talking about.
So when the boys are on one of these adventures or outings or whatever, do you do Bible teaching? Do you do Bible reading? Do you do prayer?
Oh,
with
absolutely.
these boys?
Absolutely.
All of that.
Yeah, under
Do you
the
have a structured, what I'm saying, is it structured, a time that they pray or a time that we have Bible reading or maybe even like a church meeting outside, like especially on Sunday morning or
Definitely.
something like that?
When the troops go out on the trail Sunday morning, there is worship, and it is led by a chaplain. And it's not just that we're leading them in the activities, we're instructing the boys how to do that. We're teaching them how to worship. We're teaching them how to prepare a lesson. Another one of the emphases that we have in troops is older boys investing in younger boys. And I think that's really unique. I don't think there's many things we can look to in society where a 15-year-old is going to take time to invest in a 5 or 6-year-old and make him feel special.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, what that does for a 5 or 6-year-old boy to have a 15-year-old come over and get down on one knee and interact with him.
Oh, it's
huge.
That is
It's
huge.
huge.
And yet they're doing it in this common identity. You know, we wear uniforms in our troops, and one of the things about that is to put a trail life uniform on a boy. It's to dare say, I stand for something.
Yeah.
And it's those values that we're talking about. And I think that's a powerful message to give boys in the culture.
Uniformity. I love that you have that. But in this day and age that we live in, you see so many broken homes, so many divorces, so many children, boys and girls, growing up without a father, a figure in the house. So to me, I say thank you on the behalf of these women that have sons that can come to Trail Life and get this education, get this role model that they need, because God knows we need wonderful fathers in this day and in time, because sometimes I feel like we're losing the battle. But when I see your organization and what you're doing and what you're saying, it gives me hope. How
Yeah,
about
we
you,
definitely,
Sandra?
absolutely. There's,
Yeah.
I mean, we are walking in the middle of a spiritual warfare. I believe it
Yes.
very strongly in my heart. And the enemy is there to seek and destroy the family and the core family. And he's a person. He governs confusion with identity, with what we're supposed to do. So if we can stand strong and stand in the solid rock of Jesus Christ,
Amen.
and how that will just penetrate the next generation. I know how impactful it is for a little child, a 5 or a 6-year-old, to be guided or mentored by a 15 or 16-year-old.
Wait.
It really is. You know, it's, when we look at our culture and how we've developed as a culture over the last 50 years or so, we've made some pretty significant decisions as a society
Yes.
and haven't thought about kids.
Yes.
Who was there to say what a decision about abortion would mean down the road, or what a decision about the definition of marriage,
Right.
or about divorce laws or family laws,
Right.
or the definition of sexuality?
Right.
We weren't thinking about kids when we made those decisions.
Right.
So these young men are being raised in this environment where it's so unsure and everything is so changed. The things that used to be, you used to know when you said boy what that meant.
What that
Now it's gonna
meant,
be-
and a girl.
Yeah, now it's like boyhood is some kind of social disease that needs
Yeah,
to be
and
eradicated.
manhood is.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're trying to
Yeah.
demasculine
So-
these
Yeah.
you men, and why I don't know. But what I'd like to know, what's the ages that you join? Can you join from 5 up to like 12, 14?
So we're for 5 to 18 is the age range of a traditional Trail Life USA troop. And
But do you have to go all those years, or can
oh no, you could join at 12, 13, anywhere along that spectrum. And there's different age-appropriate focused programs for where those boys are at that stage of life.
Yes. Well, you know, to me, being a father is one of the most important, not just a father, but a Christian father that teaches the love of Jesus Christ, but you can still be a man. You can still have the role as the head of the home, as the father, the bread maker, winner, whatever, you know. And that's what I find so disconcerting in this day and age, is that people are wanting to take that away.
Yeah.
And you were
And
talking,
make us all one, and we're not. We're separate, and I'm glad you're teaching that.
yeah, and Mark, you were talking about that aspect a little bit,
Yeah.
right? And you were talking.
Yeah.
Can you continue with what you were saying?
Yeah, you know, it's boys and girls are different.
Right.
I mean, that's politically incorrect to say today.
yeah,
you make it
that's
emails.
what I'm saying.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
But boys and girls are different. From the womb, they're different. And what boys are experiencing today is terrible. They're twice as likely to be special education, three times more likely to be ADHD. They have fallen behind girls in every single academic category. And we love girls. We think girls are wonderful.
Oh, good.
But But
We're
in our
glad.
culture today, girls are easily uplifted, and they're being uplifted. More power to girls. Girls can do anything. We're saying that all the time. We visited with the board, NASA, down at Kennedy Space Center not too long ago, and we sat there and watched this beautiful film, and there was a female astronaut, which I thought was beautiful, and she said, "Who wants to go to space?" And all these girls' hands went up. I'm thinking, where are the boys?
Boys,
Where are the
yeah.
boys? So we're continuing to say these encouraging messages that girls desperately need, but boys have been lost in that mix.
Yeah.
And it's almost, they're
It
painted with
is.
this toxic masculinity brush, like there's something wrong with them and we have to fix them.
And Mark, I appreciate that feedback, because we are given under the authority of Christ to lift up our boys, to become
Right.
men, to be
Become
godly leaders for our home. And just to say that, it can become a little, controversial.
It is controversial.
But I know that I am under the umbrella, first of God, my husband,
Same here.
myself, and then my family. So God created us that way.
Yeah, and that's
and
the way
I'm
it's supposed to
grateful
be.
that Trail Life holds fast and is unapologetic for the Christ-centered focus that you all are doing
Yeah,
for the
amen.
boys of America that are being
Yeah.
confused.
That's
Well, there's
exactly
strengths
right.
that boys have, and there's
Yes,
strengths that
that
girls
girl-
have, and it isn't a value statement.
Yeah.
It's just
they
a
both
fact.
have those strengths.
It's the fact. But
So we create an environment where boys can be boys, and where their special strengths and the challenges are dealt with in a boy environment.
in a masculine way.
Mark, thank you
But
so
a loving
much.
way.
Thank you so
Stuart
much,
and Mark. I
Stuart.
appreciate God. It was wonderful. You have just a veritable plethora of information. Hey, we got to take a break. We loved having you. Hope you can come back again. Stay with us here on Friends and Neighbors. We'll be right back. Well, I hope you enjoyed that interview with Mark and Stuart with Trail Life as much as I did. I learned a lot about that and thankful for that.
Yes, I
Sandra.
am so thankful for it too.
Yeah.
And my heart just gets so grieved that we have to say words such as unapologetic,
Yeah.
Christian values. And I think that today we just really have to continue to pray extremely hard for our kids, our boys, our children, specifically our boys, with all of the distractions that are out there and
Oh,
how
that's
the
coming
enemy can
against
start slowly changing
Chipping away.
and then
Yeah.
just like it says in Proverbs, you take the path and it goes into destruction.
Right.
You have pornography, you have pedophilia, you have all of these horrible things that the world offers.
Things that you and I don't know, I didn't grow up with any of this. I mean, we left our doors unlocked at my house. I had a baby doll that I played with. I had a tea set. The boys had tractors and, cars and things like that, and it was all good. I knew who I was. And then that's a good thing, but the
Yeah.
bad thing about this is, Sandra, is that you have to have men to fill in for the fathers. But thank God we got them. But wouldn't it be wonderful if the fathers were there and were the role model for their own son?
We live in a very, very broken world. So many people
Yes.
need God's grace and love and mercy, and I'm so grateful that Trail Life Troop has that resource there. My strong desire is that regardless of the family that you have, if you're a single parent, that you will be that voice for your child
Right.
and find organizations like that when you can't do it, you can protect them, because it's a dark, dark world out there, and
Right.
kids, especially boys now, are being lured into pornography.
Targeted.
And targeted,
Yes.
and just, and if we as adults and their parents do not stand up and protect our children,
Right.
we will be held accountable when we go
Absolutely.
and see Jesus. Because one way, we're going to go up or we're going to go down.
Absolutely.
We are going to be held accountable for the children, for the voices that could not speak for themselves.
Well, aren't you glad that Stuart and Mark have this organization, that these boys will grow up
Yes.
and be the father,
Yes.
or be the big brother to
Yes.
the little sister, or be the help to the mother, be the one that helps protect our country, or either is another leader for Trail Life.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that gives me hope?
Yes, it does give me hope.
For the next generation, because it's like I said before, sometimes I feel like we're losing the battle, but then we have people like Mark Stewart with Trail Life on, and I'm revived.
Yes.
I think,
Yes.
we're going to do this, Lord. You can do
Yes.
it. God can do all
Let's
things.
not grow weary doing God's kingdom work.
Right.
Absolutely.
And well-doing. Do not grow weary in well-doing. And don't you grow weary out there in your prayer life,
Yes.
in serving the Lord, and being that role model. Right, Sandra?
Yes.
That we all need, all children need a role model, and we're in such a sad state with our children of this day and age. But we're glad we have Mark and Stuart with Trail Life, and we're glad we have you that watch us, Sandra and I, here on Friends and Neighbors. And we hope to see you again well and happy next time. Till then, God bless.